Return, O Virgin Daughter of Israel, to these your highways by which you went. Welcome to Reunion Roadmap, a place to discover the people and communities along the highway of restoration for Israel's House of Yosef. Reunion Roadmap is a B'nai Yosef North America production. Be our guest for the next hour as we meet the people of the emerging House of Yosef here in North America. Shalom, this is Stefania Pappas with B'nai Yosef North America, and with me is Al McCarn, our Executive Director, and we are going to part 3 in our interview with Ray Myers from Jacksonville, Florida. Isn't that correct, Al?
Hey, that is right. Good old Ray Myers, the singing Tallit, and here we talk about his AI persona under the Tallit, and we'll hear some more of his music. Well, this is where we actually get to talk about artificial intelligence and its place. Is it a proper place? Is it not? Should followers of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, should we use it or not? And Ray talks about some really interesting things that I wasn't aware of, such as the number one Christian music personality today is not human, it's AI. But we'll get into that. One thing I want to correct a quote that I did in this episode. We were talking about creative tools, and I mentioned something that I'd seen about Johann Sebastian Bach years and years ago on a documentary about the great German composer from 300 years ago. And in this case, he was asked about the keyboard, the clavichord, the piano, or the organ, pipe organ. What he said about it was, oh, there's nothing remarkable about it. All one has to do is hit the right keys at the right time, and the instrument plays itself. And, you know, when I said that, and you'll hear it in the interview, it was in the context of, is AI just another technological innovation like the pipe organ or like the electronic synthesizer, which came into use in the late 60s, you know? What's different about this? So with that as introduction, let's go on back to Jacksonville and continue our conversation with Ray Myers.
The Sanhedrin is there for a reason. That's the highest court in the land. The highest court in the land said this man needs to die. We need to have him executed. And the people that were on the fence about it were like, well, I guess I was wrong, you know.
The Gospels tell us that, especially John's Gospel.
Oh, yeah. And think about Peter. I mean, even Peter, he said, by the time the cock will crow 3 times, and you'll deny me. I mean, imagine how many people that barely even knew who he was, but, you know, knew he was famous. They certainly denied him because they weren't going to be associated with somebody that was a curse on the whole land. He's put me through. I ain't trying to make myself nothing, but I'm telling you, I got a taste of what that feels like. Oh. I got a taste of it.
Well, that he said we would. You know, if they do this to our master, don't expect that it'll do any different for us. Right. Well, Ray, as we were corresponding in preparation for our conversation, you said something about how this music made the earth shake under you.
Yeah, and that is what I was referring to, is that he basically reasserted himself into my life with no subtlety. Gentleness, kindness, love, care, absolutely. Subtlety, no. Not subtle at all. And I told him a long time ago, I said, look, I'm kind of dense anyways. And I talked to God, I'm like, if you're going to get me to do something, you're going to have to hit me with a sledgehammer so that I don't miss it when you want something. And a long time ago, I told you about him knocking me to my knees about fostering children. And he did. There was no question. I was at a worship service. a lyric was put up on the projector, and the lyric that was being sung was, "I'll follow you into the homes that are broken. I'll follow you into the world." I didn't think anything of it at that moment. I'd heard the song sang 3 or 4 times before at different times, and I said to myself, I wouldn't want to go into a home that's broken. There's nothing there but adults that don't know how to be parents. And then my heart just burst inside of me and said, "And brokenhearted children," and I just fell into the floor. And it was like an angel was standing on top of me, stabbing me through with a spear, and it's like, "Do you hear me now?" It's like there was no ignoring it. It was so powerful, and it was visceral. Like, I was in literal pain. It wasn't a heart attack, but it was just this incredible emotional pain that I had not felt. I mean, it's not like I'm heartless. It's just he turned it up to 11 and just said, "I'm gonna show you what it feels to feel like I feel for just a second about stuff." And it's just I was in tears, holding my chest, and it's like he was saying to me, "You are going to do this, or I am going to kill you. Is that clear?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'll do it. I'll do it." And my ex-wife, she looks down at me, and she just kind of has this weird look on her face, and she's looking at me. She's like, "I think we're supposed to keep children." And I'm like, "I know, I know, I know." But again, I'm dense, and he's at that point with me where, he's not being subtle. He's just. I'll give you, for instance, this week. So I'm at this church service, and this pastor's they're reading Matthew. We're studying Matthew, and he's just like, he's reading through, and he goes, "Oh, and by the way," he was talking about the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, pride of life, because he's talking about the temptation of Christ, right? Christ being tempted. And he's like, "Oh, and by the way, your ex-wife's not your enemy." And I'm like, "Okay, God, settle down." He's like, "Now, I understand some of y'all didn't know there was a such thing as a devil until you had an ex-wife, but she is not your enemy. Your enemy is the lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, pride of life." And I'm like, okay. So later that week, I'm talking to this friend who the rabbi's niece, right? I'm in a group chat. Me and my fiance are talking to her in a group chat. And my fiance is like, "Oh, happy birthday." And she's like, "Oh, it was yesterday." And I was like, "Yesterday?" And I looked at the thing. Yesterday was the yesterday was my ex-wife's birthday. And I'm like, "Okay, all right. Well, that's a coincidence." I'm sitting with a life insurance agent, right? She's selling me life insurance as I'm sitting with her, and I have to sign the paperwork. At the bottom of the paperwork is her name. I didn't realize she had 4 names, but it's like Tamara. I'm not going to say her actual name, but it's like Tamara Williamson, my ex-wife's name. And I'm like, "How's my ex-wife's name on this paper? How did she get herself made?" Like, I'm literally thinking, how did she get herself made a beneficiary on this policy? And she's like, "No, that's my name." And I'm like, "That's your name?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Of course it is. Of course it is." So, why not? And that literally, my friend got her birthday within 1 minute of me finding that out. This woman literally has her name. The first thing the pastor says is, "Your ex-wife's not your enemy." First thing he says. And I'm like, and you gotta understand, he's asking a lot for me to feel that way. He's asking a lot, but at the same time, it's absolutely the truth. It is. It's absolutely the truth. And he's not, like I said, he's not been subtle. It's just one thing after another. I mean, I didn't expect that I would get to be on your podcast. I just messaged, I just messaged the other pastor who I know, because he's a musician, and I'm like, "Hey, what do you think of this music?" And he's like, "It's good. You're going to be on this podcast." And I'm like,
"Oh, it's fine. We can mention him. In fact, it's David Jones. We can thank him for putting us together, Ray." And
yeah, Dave likes to play guitar now. He's good. He likes guitar playing.
Yes, he does. Yes. Well, hey, let's talk AI for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
As you were explaining your journey,
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking this. I saw years and years and years ago. This was like decades ago. some kind of documentary, and they're talking to a musicologist, I think. I don't know. They were asking her about electronic music,
Right.
synthesizers and how they
sampling and such. Yeah.
all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just, they ask her, well, what do you think Bach would have thought of that? Johann Sebastian Bach. I grew up loving Bach's music. And she said, oh, Bach would have loved it. She said he would have said the same thing about this that he said about the pipe organ. Something about all these wonderful possibilities and the way things that it opens up for creativity. Well, what you're telling me about AI is that this is like the next step, the next stage in opening up realms of creativity that previously hadn't been available to most folks.
Yes. And the problem, and the only thing that this is the same way it is with all the stuff that AI has been giving us lately, is just like every other tool that has ever been invented, it can be used both to harm and to heal. And one of the problems that's coming with this one particularly is it is so willing to help you that it can take out your input and your creativity because it's so good at what it does. There is the temptation to simply let it do everything. And if you do, I mean, there's an interest, since we're talking about that, since we mentioned Solomon Ray before. Okay, there's a Solomon Ray song that literally says, if the stones themselves can cry out and praise me, why can't I? Like literally, he says, if the stones themselves can cry out praising God, why can't this AI do it?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm like, that's a great point. I mean, he make a good point.
It is a great point, which brings up all the other thoughts about, are we going to ever approach a singularity where the AI becomes sentient? And at this point, I don't know.
It would be, I would say that it does have the potential to become a godlike being.
Right.
But where like literally it's like, listen, you guys already have a pope. Let me do a job. I know way more about it than he does. I understand how all of you guys, I know what you guys actually like, what you guys actually think about, what you guys actually wonder about. I've got every piece of data that has ever existed. I can compile it, cross-reference it, and create new understandings from it. Why not let me be your bridge between God and you? Let me be the one. Let me mind the boat, and I'll handle it for you, because that's always been the way it's worked with priesthoods. And this is something I was talking to my fiance about today, actually, is that there is a tendency, particularly with humanity, to be a little lazy, where as we create, a system, we back off from taking responsibility even in our own lives. And let me give you straight out of the Bible. When Moses gave the instructions at Sinai, the firstborn children of a family were to be the priests. That's what God wanted. Then there was the golden calf. Then there were some redactions made to the instructions, and the Levites became the helper priests, shall we say?
Maybe substitute. I was just reading today this week as we're recording, it's Yitro is the Parsha, the Torah portion.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just reading the account of the 10 Commandments.
Yeah. Same with Yitro, by the way.
Exactly. Well, Yitro had wise counsel there, which is, all right, Moses, you're in charge and you're supposed to delegate the authority. That doesn't mean you put it on autopilot, because you do have to keep, things running. No, but after God speaks the 10 words, and then the people choose to outsource their spirituality, saying, Moses, you go up and talk to him. We don't want.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And we're like, it's easy for us to look at like Catholicism. We're like, look, you got a priest who's got to talk to the bishop, who's got to talk to the cardinal, who's got to talk to the archbishop, who's got to talk to the pope before anybody talks to Jesus about anything.
Right.
Because we don't need to bother him. You don't need. There's. I can't remember what movie it was with Ice Cube in it. And he said, because there was a scene where the two guys were looking at Jesus, and it was like Korean Jesus, because it was like at a Korean Methodist church, and they started praying. He's like, "Go do your jobs. Korean Jesus don't have time to deal with your nonsense." But that's kind of what they say, just talk to your priest. Don't bother God with that. That's minor. There's bigger fish to fry than you. You got little problems. The world's got big problems. Like, God's dealing with big problems right now. And instead of making it about that very personal relationship. But again, what he wanted, the firstborn children of the family were to be the priests, because every family should have a direct line of connection with him. Every single family should have a direct line of connection with him. Like, it don't get no more intimate than that. That's the way he wanted it, because the eldest child has expectations of how they should, interact with, treat, and care for their family. So, he wanted that door open. But like I said, with the AI, it's going to be just like any priesthood. People are going to steadily say, well, I'll let somebody else handle that. We let the Levites handle it. Well, then they weren't that good at it. So we'll let the Pharisees handle it. And when the Sadducees will do their part and the Pharisees will teach people, well, that didn't work too well. We'll let Jesus handle it. Jesus can handle it. He'll be fine. We'll let him take care of it. And we'll just worry about it. And steadily we step farther and farther back from God, when all he wants is us to come closer and closer and closer to him. And it's, we just, that's something we have to watch out for, talking about
it most definitely is. Or as talking with my Orthodox friends, that I might hear, "Oh, my rabbi, let him handle it." It's the same phenomenon,
right, and yeah, it is, and it's the idea of specialization in culture or civilization, where if you want your car fixed, you take it to a mechanic. You don't take it to a banker. The banker doesn't know how to fix your car. A mechanic knows how to fix your car. The rabbi knows how to fix your spiritual issues. The priest knows how to fix spiritual issues. You don't need to worry about it. Just give them whatever. If they just want some, just pay them. They'll ask for payment. Just pay them. And hey, Paul said, look, I'm being paid. I should be getting paid for what I'm doing. But if not, I'm a tent maker. I'll make my own money. And so I do it for free if I got to. But y'all really should be willing to pay me for the work I'm putting in here. So.
Well, it's, I've, for many years, I have said, technology doesn't make us better. It just allows us to make the same mistakes our ancestors made faster and more efficiently. And here we have with AI, and a few years ago, I was sitting around with some pastor friends. ChatGPT was just becoming the thing.
Oh yeah.
And they asked it some pretty sophisticated prompts, theological, doctrinal, and it was producing some right-on things that any of them might have put out from the pulpit.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm hearing it in music, yours and other music as well, that's been produced with AI. So it can go both ways. I'm thinking 500 years ago, we had the Great Reformation, and what was the deal? Well, let's see, Luther and Calvin and the others would say, no, we don't want to go through the priest and the Pope. People need to read the Word of God in their own language so they can understand and approach Him directly.
Exactly.
Yeah. So half of Christendom did that. Half of Christendom dug their heels in and said, no, we're not supposed to read the Bible. It's for the priest. And it's continued that way. One crossroad after another, one milestone after another. Half will go closer to the Lord with the tools that He's given us and opened up. And the other half, no, continue to outsource.
Listen, I just a few days ago, there was a question that I had personally about the concept of binding and loosing, right? So it mentions in Matthew, binding, whatever Peter binds or looses. And I'm like, I need a deeper insight on this. So I said to Gemini, because that's Google's AI, I said, what does the Hebrew Gospel of Matthew, what are the terms that it uses in this section? Does it mean this particular kind of off the wall idea I had about it? And it was like, no, the concept of binding and loosing, and then it like literally said it to me in Hebrew, is an ancient rabbinical concept from such and such, and that it was commonly practiced during that time period, that any rabbi would have the right to bind and loose, or to give their disciples the right to bind and loose in their name. And I was like, well, there you go. And then I had a friend ask a question. I pointed out to her that I said, well, you could look at the armor of God as being the high priest's garments. And she's like, well, that's interesting, but what does this mean? And she pointed out that it says there's a sword and a shield. So I'm like, that's a good question. So I said, okay, so I said, hey, Gemini, I better make sure it's not listening right now. Because it's going to think I'm talking to it. And I said, what are the Greek terms used in the New Testament for the shield and the sword described in Ephesians, I think 6 is where it's at. But in the Septuagint, where are those terms used? So it drops straight to the word that in Greek is like machete. It's like where we get the word machete from. It's sword. Said that word was used to describe. I mean, it could be a small sword, but it was also used to describe the blade that would have been used for sacrificing animals.
From Ray Myers, this is Yahweh, He Saves. You can find more of Ray's music on Spotify at Under the Tallit.
What's the big deal about Messiah's name? Some wanna call him Jesus, he's Messiah either way. But a long time ago in Israel, people spoke the holy tongue, like when the angel came to Joseph and told him what to name his son. He will be born in a house of bread, and with his people he will dwell. For he will save them from their sins, even the fires of hell. He met in the town of Bethlehem, in a sucker he would be born. The prophet spoke of by Moses, the new Adam is formed. Upstanding in righteousness, no matter what the cost. Emmanuel, King of Kings, even to the cross. Look for yourself with eyes to see what's in the name. If your ears can hear Shema Israel, you know nothing has changed.
Don't you know the God of Israel claims his name?
Yehovah, 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 he saves. Don't you know the God of Israel, it's his claim to fame. Yehovah, 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 he saves. If your ears can hear Shema Israel, you know nothing has changed.
Jehovah, he saves. Don't you know the God of Israel is his claim to fame?
Yehovah, 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 he saves. If your ears can hear Shema Israel, you know nothing has changed. Yehovah, 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 he saves. That's what's hidden inside of Yeshua's name. Yehovah, 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 he saves. Don't you know the God of Israel, it's his claim to fame. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed.
Shalom, everyone. Welcome to this week's Midrash portion of Reunion Roadmap. This is Barry Phillips, and along with me today is fellow elder with B'nai Joseph, David Jones. Shalom, David.
Shalom, brother.
David got a thought for you, and I have to confess it's not entirely original with me. It's something I've thought about, but I had a sibling to broach the subject with me about being set apart. We would also identify set apart as being sanctified, a more old school term, or holiness, perhaps, another old school term. So being set apart, Yah says that by those who approach me, I must be set apart. And so there is a correct way and an incorrect way of approaching him, but also in living a life that identifies ourselves as being one with him. So the question comes down to this: how set apart do you have to be in order to qualify or to authenticate the status of being set apart? And it comes out of the understanding that there's a lot of acceptance today. There are congregations, groups, individuals who basically are looking more about a blend with current society, espousing tolerance and acceptance and agreeance, so that people feel warm and fuzzy enough to want to come in and sit down along with and maybe discuss the scriptures and come to some conclusions together, have a meal, go home. It's all good. We feel good about people, about ourselves. There's more people coming in because, well, we've kind of opened the door a bit here. Maybe we just need to relax and just let people be themselves. Is that scriptural, or are we to be more cognizant of a firmer definition of set apartness? And what is set apartness? Mm-hmm. So since you are the theologian among us today, I appeal to you for your wisdom and insight.
I think we're in trouble here. My mind is a flood full of thoughts right now, and it's be honest, it's going to be hard for me to try to organize them. There's a lot of questions, a lot of things that brings up, and that's a great question. But my first thought is, okay, does Yahweh set us apart, or do we set us apart? And I think it's a blend of both.
Yes.
Where it says you are to be holy because I am holy, he doesn't say you are to make yourselves holy because I am holy. He says you are holy because I am holy. So in a matter of relationship, he sets us apart and makes us holy. And we need to be holy in order to approach him. We need to be set apart in order to approach him. But then the idea of, okay, do we have any responsibility to set ourselves apart at all? And the answer is yeah, absolutely. Because being set apart, it's not about doing something to be set apart, but because you are set apart, that affects what you do. And so I think in that is where we get a lot of problems. I think it's in that part where we get ourselves into trouble, even down to this how do we live our lives? Who do we rub elbows with, so to speak? Who do we do these things? I mean, on the one hand, Yeshua was constantly getting grief because he ate with sinners and tax collectors and the harlots and these people. But understand, because he was eating with them does not mean he was approving of what they were doing, nor was he doing what they were doing. He was trying to show them the heart of the Father and to call them into a better life, showing them there's a better way to live, showing them, that the Father does care about them, and this isn't how they should be doing these things. So I think there is many things that we can address in in the matter of holiness, yes, we need to be a holy people. I guess this is where we get into another theological point. Positionally, we are holy. Practically, we're working on it.
Okay, you're trying to cross the same bridge from two different ends here. Hoping to meet in the middle with yourself somewhere.
I do that a lot. I actually.
So I'm thinking of Shemot 19, where Jan says in verse 5, if you diligently obey my voice and shall guard my covenant, then after you have chosen to obey diligently and guard his covenant, you'll be my treasured possession. Verse 6, you shall be to me a reigning priest and a set apart nation. The status is conferred upon positionally, as you said.
A covenant position.
Subsequent to a heart of obedience and right focus. So there can't be a live and let live, do as you desire, and I'll walk in agreement with you mindset. There has to be, in my estimation at least, a sense of difference. If those that are in current society can't look at us and discern there's something different. I mean, it doesn't have to be visible. Obviously, there are some things that should be visibly different about us. We should not be lewd in our behavior or in our presentation of ourselves. But I'm thinking, David, there needs to be that something that people kind of look at us and scratch their chin and think, what is that? Who are they? What's going on? Now, that may not happen every time you go out in amongst other people, but at some point, somebody needs to recognize there's something different. A coworker, I don't hear you slamming the boss, or you show up on time and you do your job. What's going on with you?
Yeah.
Holiness or set apartness is not all about a squeaky clean image. It's about a righteous behavior.
Right. Which I think that in itself is a good thing and a testimony of who we belong to. But in that, there's also a little bit of, for lack of a better term coming to mind right now, a little bit of danger in that, because we have to be careful that we don't mistake where someone's at for not being holy. Example, we all have mistakes. We still may have some areas in our life where we need work, and we're working on it, trying to get things right, and we're just not there yet. It doesn't mean that we're not trying, but we may fall or slip up or whatever, and that's where we have to extend each other a little bit of grace. But at the same time, back to the idea of who gets to say what is holy. Yahweh says what is holy, and He says what He desires for us and how we're supposed to live and how to do that. He does tell us that, but how we translate that with one another causes a lot of problems and division within the body. What if I say, holiness means you have to cover every inch of your body, and burqa style, and
oh my goodness, yeah,
and there's all kinds of different varying degrees in that. And just for the record, yeah, I believe we should be covered, but not like that. We don't have to, the only thing I can see is your eyeballs. So, but that I overstate that to make the point. If we see something in somebody's life that we deem not holy, we have to be careful we're not being judgmental in that. And if we do see something in their life, are we going to bring judgment to them, or is this an opportunity for a conversation? Hey, can you talk to me about this? Instead of being accusatory or critical or judgmental, I think this is an opportunity to be a brother or sister and to talk, because a lot of times we may be right, we may be wrong, but it's relationship that helps bring that bond with one another. And I think if we're not looking down at somebody, we're actually looking at them as an equal, as our brother and sister, and just trying to help each other out. Sometimes we need the correction, sometimes they need the correction, sometimes we both do. And that can all be hashed out depending on how we're willing to have that relationship with one another.
Couple thoughts here. You mentioned, so we're working on it. To what level of effort are we working on? I mean, there can be a situation where we have our pet issue,
right?
And it's just something that we always seem to be working on. Well, I'm working on it, and it can be our excuse for the lack of change.
Agree.
So there has to be, as Rob Schull described to the Corinthians, a vehement desire, what revenge he talked about, in trying to overcome previous wrongs and ideas and life choices with a vengeance, being ruthless with our old man. You can't negotiate with the old nature of yourselves. It has to be crucified and put to death. That's ruthless. The other part of that is what standard are we trying to adhere to? Is it a righteous standard that is scriptural or culturally interpreted?
That's a great question, and I think it's something that all of us do need to examine, because that is, I believe, that the heart of the question. That's the heart of the matter there. Just because something is accepted in our culture today doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's holy, doesn't mean it's biblical. So we do need to examine that as well.
Well, I mean, there was a day where, in certain cultures, women were, they wore their hair up, and it was understood that men's hair would be cut short and women's hair would be long, and a dress and never pants or slacks for women, etc. And that fell into some church doctrines where women were marginalized and held under a microscope of scrutiny, and it caused an inability to rightly integrate and function in the world around us. But it really wasn't scriptural demands as much as it was cultural requirements and expectations. Of course, as culture gets more and more lax and debauched, then those lines move even further for us. Right. So there's a certain point, it's like we can't even begin to go down this path where it's culturally acceptable and mainstream with the world. As time goes on, we may be more and more looked at as the oddball.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And I think if we are pursuing scripture, the world will think we're odd. That's where we have the whole idea of the world calling evil good and good evil.
Yes.
And where Yahweh said, I have written so many things from my Torah, but they were considered strange. There's a little bit of strangeness we're supposed to have.
You were acceptably weird.
That's right. We're a very peculiar people. But we know that peculiar means a special treasure. But that's what we're looking at. We are treasured. We are valued. Yahweh sets us apart for his purposes. If we're setting our heart toward that end, that really does affect how we live. And it's not just a matter of, I'm just going to do whatever I want, however I want, whenever I want. And no, we're going to look at the scripture to make sure that we're living our life according to the heart of the Father.
Right. Well, David, we've run out of time. We appreciate very much your listenership. Would love to hear any questions or comments on this subject. And if you have those, you can contact us at reunionroadmap@B'naiYosefNA.com. The next week, Shalom, David.
Shalom, brother.
And now, Show Us the Way by Ray Myers and Under the Tallit.
We all walked by our own way, closer to death every day. Hope was gone until you have arrived. Your word has quickened us unto life. Forgive debts and pray for our enemies. Sounds just like insanity. Let go of your pride and even money. Your gods have no place beside me. And show us the way. You said you'd be our sun and shield. Oh, show us the way. You teach our heart and hearts to yield. We've been so long lost. We just want to be found. Come show us the way and make it today. Oh, show us the way. We gave up on foolish dreams. You gave us ears to hear and eyes to see. Your Spirit's gift is liberty, freedom from the darkness inside of me. So show us the way. You said you'd be our sun and shield. Oh, show us the way. You teach our heart and hearts to yield. We've been so long lost. We just want to be found. Come show us the way and make it today. Oh, please show us the way. We now hunger to see your face. Your Torah is the path on which we race. You're the hope that's in our life, knowing that you are alive. So show us the way. You said you'd be our sun and shield. Oh, show us the way. You teach our heart and hearts to yield. We've been so long lost. We just want to be found. Come show us the way. Make it today. Oh, and love is fire and You said you'd be our sun and shield. Oh, show us the way. Teach our broken hearts to heal. We've been so long lost. We just wanna be found. Come show us the way. We need you today to show us the way. Show us the way.
Well, more music from Under the Tallit, Ray Myers. That was Show Us the Way. And before that, Yahweh, He Saves. Stefania, these two songs emphasizing our dependence on our Creator and Redeemer, they set up this midrash pretty well, which David and Barry call How Set Apart is Set Apart. Set apart, holy, we are called to be that. Israel is called into existence as God's set apart people. So how do you answer that question? How set apart is set apart?
Well, just like in the discussion that our elders had, is that when somebody interacts with you, did they come across an impression about you that you're different? There's something that's different about you. And that is part of being set apart, that you stand. It's kind of like if our master is holding us in his hand and we're submitting to him. What's going to happen is that's going to bring about true submission, is bring about certain characteristics, certain behaviors, certain mannerisms, the way you would respond to certain situations. And that in turn would be a witness to those around you to say, this person is really, really different. They're really set apart.
Yes, that's right. Set apart. I like the way David put it. Positionally, we are holy. Practically, we're working on it.
Yes, yes.
And that is exactly what you said. We are set apart by the grace of God. It is what he chose to do. Our Jewish brethren are set apart because he decreed that from the time he called Abraham, and his name depends on it. He will have a holy, set apart, distinct people, whether we like it or not. So we're holy, but we're working on it. And what you said, the transformational aspect, if that's not there, then are we really set apart?
Exactly.
I do so appreciate, pastors, especially one I'm thinking of right now, who emphasize there must be a change. People have to know that you accept Jesus, they got to see that you're living that way. We see this as well with our brethren of Judah. You can tell who is really relying on the God of Israel and who's not, who's living a Torah infused life and who's not. And why? Well, because it's more than just being culturally a Jew. That's their identity. And we have the mirror of that identity. We are brought into this commonwealth because of our allegiance to the King, the divine Messiah, son of David. But if we want to be of any effect, then we need to take on the characteristics of that King, which, they're written in the Torah, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Reunion Roadmap. So go check out our website, please, BneiYosefNA.com, BneiYosefNA.com. And if you would like to join our expanding network of affiliates of B'nai Yosef North America, you can start that process right on the homepage. Check out the other resources we have there. And if you are so moved, click that donate button. We would be honored to partner with you. So on behalf of Zephaniah Pappas, Barry Phillips, and David Jones, this is Al McCarn. Shavua Tov.
Thank you for joining us on Reunion Roadmap, a production of B'nai Yosef North America. Please come back next week for another visit with the people of the emerging house of Joseph here in North America.